Hello, my name is Herman Thordsen. Most of you may know me from our mortgage alerts and through representing you on various organizations here and in other states. I've been around for 40 years. Our attorneys have been around a long time. And this is our first of a video series stemming from our mortgage alert, which is now, this is our video alert. And what we're going to discuss today is the Bureau of Real Estate and its regulations and laws as it helps you to stay out of trouble. The Bureau has 3 years from the time an event occurred that would be a violation of your license, laws, and regulations in which to file an accusation against you. And at the end of that time, they're out of court, so to speak, unless something exceptional happens. This is why you have to keep your records for 3 years, and why the Bureau says in its regulations you must keep your files and every paper in it for 3 years. We always recommend 5 years, and the reason is you can be sued for fraud by any person that used you either as a listing agent, the selling agent, or for that matter, for obtaining a loan secured by real estate. And that is because it may take them a year after the transaction has transpired in which to discover it. We have had several cases where this has occurred, where the broker has destroyed the files more than three years after the file was completed, and then wound up getting sued the following year for fraud, among other things, and the filed papers weren't available to help protect them. The other is that what happens is now the Bureau is allowed to charge you both for investigative cost as well as trust account violation costs. The trust account violation cost in one particular instance cost someone more than $9,000 for the auditing of the trust account, plus an additional couple of $1,000s for the investigative cost. So therefore you can be charged for the entire audit, which is something you really don't want. The Bureau has 4 or 5 ways they can discipline you, and they stem from going into without filing an accusation, to a private reproval which is not public, through and including disbarment from the Bureau and revoking the license. And in that, the biggest problem you'll have is the fiduciary obligations that are owed to a buyer, a seller, or a mortgage loan originator doing a loan. There is a case most recently that came down from the Court of Appeals this month, April 2014. What happened was a potential buyer came in, wanted to buy a property in Malibu, which was represented as being 15,000 square feet in its flyer. In fact, it was a little over 11,000 square feet. The first buyer came along to buy the property, look at it, was recommended to hire their own appraiser, did not, asked for a 6-day extension so they could do something further. It was denied, and so they walked on their way. Then the second buyer came along. They were not recommended to hire an appraiser as it was the first time, and ultimately bought the property and found a shortage in the footage and sued both the selling agent and the listing agent. And the selling agent sat there and said, the listing agent said rather, that I'm not the agent of the buyer, and therefore they cannot sue me for fiduciary violation or constructive fraud, which is what it's considered when you misrepresent square footage. Then the trial court dismissed the listing salesperson. The buyer then appealed, and in the process the Court of Appeals says, no, in this particular case the listing agent is a fiduciary to the buyer and the seller, and so is the selling agent. The reason? Both salespeople worked for the same broker. The broker owes the fiduciary obligation, and in so doing, both salespeople owe a fiduciary obligation to both the buyer and the seller. So the point being, with this fiduciary obligation, you must disclose everything. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate the time you've taken out of your day. And if you have any questions, we have other attorneys in our firm that can answer them for you. Their information is in the comment box below, and we will look forward to the next video alert as a follow-up to our e-alerts for those that would rather watch than read. Have a nice day, and again, if you have questions, just contact the information as indicated below.